Alright, let's continue. The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Oh no, it's the noodle shop from Apollo 2. Apollo Justice Case 2.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter.
A bitter winter.
A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night.
So it looks like we are gonna be in London.
Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, I believe that perhaps that
So wait, this isn't Herlock talking?
The prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Okay. Ooh. A little cutscene. Oh, look at them.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
Oh, I shipped them together.
Look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
Wow, look at that. So cool looking. Brian's cocoa. The best in London. I want some hot cocoa.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want.
So we
to
just
go.
all speak English.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
Do we not have a hotel to
My
go
pleasure.
to first? With our luggage?
I
Also, that's all the
suppose
luggage
you're,
we got?
Visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Like, we've been traveling for
Thought
like
so.
months.
Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay.
Okay. Oh, we would have at least a little
And
bit more.
welcome to the
Man, they must do
centre of the
laundry every
world.
other day.
Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
London. No. This is the courtroom? Interesting. 18th of February, 9:21 a.m. British Supreme Court. Lord Chief Justice Office. Okay, so it's not a courtroom. I was gonna say, it kind of looks cool though. Alright, so this is someone who's got a giant ego or something, and they got a office like this. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. They've only been built in a few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. I think there's more to the differences in just construction materials, yeah? What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice Office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. Also, guys, I did just wake up, so doing voices first thing in the morning. Not even. Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time, if circumstances were different. We were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we're here in a different capacity, as envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death.
Yes.
And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done.
So we'd have to return to Japan?
If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take
Kazuma's place at the law student selected for the study tour.
Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer.
Which is what I've been studying for.
Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way that I'll be able to remain here in London.
I'm assuming right now we're probably gonna have to like prove ourselves by defending someone in court. I hope I'm up to scratch. Ah, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. Oh, you got evil written on your face. He's a killer. He's killing him in the last case. I'm calling it now. Look at that. That's a killer look. Trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. Seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. Okay, why does that sound sarcastic? How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Male Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. Ugh, and I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot.
Come on, Mr. Naruhodo, don't be a mouse.
Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Oh, yes, thank you. Come on, you know what we gotta do. Wait, no! No! They took our pin away! We got an armband now. Oops. Didn't mean to do that, but sure, let's just look at it. Okay, a lot of talking here. I just want to look at it. Oh, hey, what does that say? Oh, it's got his name on it. Well, that's very sad. Okay. Nope, no, wait! I wanted to present it. Strongheart, may I show you this? To accept this item, issue a receipt, examine it thoroughly, and make a formal statement to my findings. Would require something in the region of 24 seconds of my time. Sorry? Does this item warrant 24 seconds of my time, Mr. Naruhodo? Let's leave it for now. Okay, I don't like him. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, help! I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city.
It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh?
We had a wonderful view of some London streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words.
I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped waters, and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded.
Oh yes, astounded is the word.
Thanks for saving me there, Sato-san.
And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor.
Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming great exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great exhibition? Don't want me with that. Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in the great city. It will be the great spectacle of its kind in history, and we will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop.
Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be.
Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. No, we don't have it today, Ken. It got canceled. They have, a lot of people have COVID, and it's really bad right now, like in our area. Like, a lot of my family actually has COVID, so they decided to cancel it. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. I'm Mr. Cosmos Sogi if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you're honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news?
Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person.
They tell me you Japanese are people protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. It is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed.
If you just hear us out, Lord Strongheart.
What do you have to say, madam?
It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal.
Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo. This is it then, the moment of truth. Here we go. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead, but without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean? Well, please don't hit me with that. Is there something I don't know? He probably doesn't like to be left in the shadows, I would assume. Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. At least that's what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. Just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man.
Mr. Naruhodo!
Can ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? There is someone else here from Japan who can be described as a lawyer. It's Mr. Sa. Oh, we'll say that. I don't think we're gonna get penalized here, so it's fine. It can probably only be, yes, Mrs. Sato. An unusual introduction, but I presume you mean this charming lady beside you. You're a lawyer, are you? Oh, she don't look happy at all. The look she's giving me. After all the days of hard work she put in to help me study, I can't let her down now. I think that's quite enough joking, don't you, Lord Strongheart? My real answer is, it's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but no qualifications, you say, and yet you still claim to be a lawyer. I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Cosmo to help me, and I was the accused for glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Bureau. What about Japanese law? voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Sogi's journey has only just begun. Coming here on the study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please. This guy reminds me of, I don't remember his name, but he was in the, Spirit of Justice, like, bonus DLC case. There was a guy just like this man, always looking at his watch. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo, was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. Perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in a good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? But let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Sogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Well, yes, that's my intention. I see. Am I imagining things? Did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. The test to become a specially certified lawyer, whether you pass or fail, is entirely down to you. Really? You're right. But we got a defending court. So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be? Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Huh? Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news. Today?
Straight away?
If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? How do I get myself into these situations?
Well, can I ask? What sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart?
A murder? Yes, good question. I remember. It's a murder trial.
A murder?
Extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say, but I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Wait, death? Capital punishment? He'll be put to death? Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law.
We can't possibly agree to such a test.
Not our fault they're a killer. I'm kidding.
We'd be toying with the man's life.
I am the Lord Chief Justice and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. So the defendant may live or die, depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. If only you read this much in school as you do in this game. Ha! Joke's on you, I never learned how to read. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Sogi. I'd like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? I mean, we don't really have a choice if we want to stay here. Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it. I can't get the words out. 15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Wow, we're not even putting up a fight.
Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry, Mrs. Sato, but what could I do?
It's alright, I understand.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madam? I think what Mrs. Sato means is that no matter how badly I like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable. I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, a particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. There you go, Ken. That sounds good. I'm assuming you mean on stream, not off stream. Or you're saying, oh, okay, my bad. You're saying you're gonna beat them both off stream. Got it. I thought, never mind. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, is there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. If that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. But that's awful. But that is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there's only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. Great, now we gotta accept it for our conscience.
Our conscience, we're not gonna be able to sleep. Because this man don't have no one to help him.
So, what do you say now, madam?
Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart?
You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves. Alright.
He's gone.
The Old Bailey?
If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once.
Why do I feel like our defendant's gonna be like some goofy person or whatever? Wait, are we in court already? So the trial's already beginning, we don't have any info. I really thought we were gonna be like talking to our defendant and investigating. This game is just so different from all the other ones. I like it though, but you expect things to go a certain way and they don't. What? Okay, Ken.
Oh, thank goodness we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins.
I never knew a horse-drawn carriage would go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose.
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard?
That is not what I said.
Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from the Herlock Sholmes stories, and it works quite perfectly.
So you bribed him, I see. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we have to pay gold for the privilege.
Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started.
Yeah, I suppose there's that.
Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all.
He's the sofa. So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait in is grand.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. Watch Krisha get in when you say it out loud. You know that won't happen, and that's what's sad. It's like a trope off like an anime or something. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It's like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed.
Yes. Whoever the man you're to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment.
Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. Oh, hi. That's a very large hat. What are you doing following me here? Things are very desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the east, are you? We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do you need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name. And all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. You're kind of just arrived here. Tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now.
Ah, 1,000 guineas?
Please, Mr. Sato, you don't have to shout.
But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious areas of Tokyo.
What? So you mean to tell me this guy could not afford like an actual lawyer or anything? Maybe he's rich? Or maybe he just pretends to be rich. Tis nothing to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. That much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, you couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Oh! Put on your 3D glasses, folks. Ah! It hit me in the eye! Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving you no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh. To be honest, 'tis a little embarrassing. The trial that's about to begin, you see, is for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. Now what I want you to do is come along with me and stand right beside me. Officially, you'll be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial's going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up.
I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial?
Bluster and blazes, do you not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names. No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. I want to know what's under that hat. There's got to be something under that hat, right? I see. Suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park, there in the center of London, is another beautiful park. Sorry, a park? What? Like an amusement park? It's called McGilded Park, full of blossoming flowers and the spring singing birds and whatnot. I like when he does that. I donated it to the city, so I did.
An entire park in central London?
City of Smiles, that's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its square-year-old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they got the gall to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. Well, what is the matter with this London police, I ask you? Alright, don't pass out.
Mr. Naruhodo? Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath.
Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, you'll be happy to put yourselves in our hands. We'll do our best. What was I saying after you daft, did you? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry. I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor fella claims to have more money than the Queen. Well, if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? I mean, I was thinking that. Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well? Well... Not at all. Not at all, although it is a little strange to be honest. Why don't you have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry, did he just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barak von Zeeks, he's the prosecutor.
The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper?
When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been cursed. What? Okay, so he's like Von Karma over here then, I got it. So it's reached a desperate situation, where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey.
Goodness, Lord Barak von Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then.
Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned in his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin. His counsel, that would be me. Oh, 'tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I made up my mind, so sorry. I decided I'd have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance, a student of law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can assure you of that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, one thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him.
Mr. Naruhodo?
The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Cosmo would never allow it to happen. Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand. I'll be right there. Here we go, here we go. What's happening then? My first trial in a British court. Hope you're watching over me, Cosmo. Because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Here we go. This should be interesting. What is with that fire? Oh my lord. That looks so bad. 18th of February, 10 a.m. The Old Bailey Court. Oh. Interesting. So they have multiple judges, it looks like. This is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey? Centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? So different to the Supreme Court in Japan.
It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh yes, what? Oh, he looks so nervous.
You gonna poop his pants? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again.
I know, but I just can't help it. Oh my god, what the heck? What's with the cape? Oh, hello. He looks friendly. It's Santa Claus, guys. We found Santa Claus.
Ho ho ho! In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus Misgilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared.
Must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Isha. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he acts as though the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. My lord, look at this guy.
Those eyes please me. Nippons. They shroud your your doubt, your trepidation. Then run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
Cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
Now, Mr. McLeod.
Yes, my lord.
You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, it is a grand thing to give their opportunities to the young. Even if the fellow is a student from a little island off in the Far East, it is not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourselves and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire good. Proud. Listen to Mr. McLeod, what a fine gentleman London has in him. Did you hear that he donated £5,000 to the government the other day?
Mother, may we please go and play in McLeod Park? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McLeod.
That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him.
Eloquently put, Mr. McLeod, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you. You 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
Alright. Yes, my lord. If the task is sent rotors to the gallows, where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree.
Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. No, okay, she don't talk. I like his horseshoe mustache.
Village.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson.
Alright, I think we could get Granny on our side. The rest, maybe not too easily.
Mr. Naruhodo, those people are...
The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet.
That's right, I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense.
It's interesting that we even get jury members. Like, we've never seen that at all in the Ace Attorney games. Well, technically the last case of Apollo Justice, but still.
So the defendant is ultimately judged from two completely different points of view.
But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict?
That I don't know, but I'm sure it'll become clear as the trial progresses.
Yes.
Prosecutor Von Zeeks.
Zykes? Probably Zykes. My lord.
It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you renounced your fame.
Known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So what brings you back? Is there some change in circumstance of which the court should be aware?
Dang. This guy looks like he's going to a ball or something.
I leave that I leave that to your imagination, my lord.
I don't know what voice to give him yet. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years? Why? Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback?
To lose her, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir, the court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think, a summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord.
As your lordship is aware, there is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
Must be the only ones in here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Thrice-Fired Mason.
Sorry? Thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible. The victim's corpse was discovered in an Anubis in the service of the streets of London at the time.
What's with the goofy clothes? If he's like that renowned, do you think he might have better money to have better clothes?
A dagger that has been
Thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate case of death. Here's the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that in the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report. This guy, like you know, like the other Ace Attorney games, like yeah, like some of them just seem whole high and mighty, but then you get to like actually talk with them and know them. I feel like this guy, like we're not gonna even be able to get like acquainted with. Also, I really don't like the fire. The fire looks terrible. Got a crime scene photo too.
One further item of evidence. Prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, counsel?
Yes, my lord.
Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
What? Mr. McGlide's gloves had blood on them?
Yes, I will accept those as evidence as well.
Alright, we should probably look at all our evidence. How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I even started.
Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2?
Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGlide.
No, no. Can we get that guy's dagger out of here, please? I'm kind of scared he's gonna throw it at someone.
Well, rather bad evidence, to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGlide? To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Litten, so it is. and when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I've never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. The blood got on the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning. What? Not all of it? There were multiple witnesses, to the precise moment of which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Oh. Man, that lady is typing fiercely. Order, order, order! When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and they're witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. 3D Phoenix Wright is weird. You get used to it. They've made several of them, so it's like the first one looks pretty bad. Not gonna lie, but they get a lot better as they went on. Witness, is your name and occupation?
My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First. Lady First.
Lady First? Ladies first. Ah, I get it.
I make hats for gents.
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in omnibus and witnesses to the aforementioned incident. Alright, hang on. Before we do anything, I want to take a look at all this. Go ahead and see if we can find anything else on these gloves, which don't look like there is anything. But we'll go ahead and examine this, at least the blood. Okay, so he's right-handed. That's good to know. Okay. So it was in his abdomen. Man, I'm telling you, that's a goofy looking hat. What the heck? Alright. It looks like he's missing, I don't know. Looks like he's missing a button, though. I'll remember that. Photograph of the victim taken on the bus. The knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partially obscured from view by an old crooked hat. Where the hat's gonna come into play? February 15th. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife while journeying in an omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from trauma. Okay. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well then, let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Here we go. What the witnesses saw.
It was the late bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. And out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed. I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus. And then, there I saw it too.
Well, where were these two gentlemen at? If he was the driver and then they said there was only the victim and the accused in the bus, who are these other two guys and where do they come from?
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, Counsel?
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Well, in that case, how could these two witnesses possibly have seen what had happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. They know something we don't. They know something we don't. We gonna look stupid.
How quaint. I've read that civilization in the Eastern Islands nations was a good century before our own. You're in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Huh?
Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever even traveled in an omnibus?
Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for all of us to see for ourselves. The actual scene of the crime, that is.
What? Do you mean the actual scene? How?
The carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much.
Yes?
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building.
I know I'm kind of giving him the same voice as the chief lord that we met at the beginning of the game, this case, but I don't know what voice to give this guy, and I don't know, they both kind of fit that voice. Here, what? The entire carriage?
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus.
How the heck did that thing even fit through the doors? So, that's an omnibus. The omnibus? I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses. It can carry up to 8 passengers. Four passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architected sites are to be had from the top of an omnibus.
This is like their modern day double-decker buses we have. Like, this is what they had back in the day. That's cool.
I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
Skylight. Oh.
The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on the omnibus when the murder took place. That's how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
That makes perfect sense.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. And all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
Alright. Can we, look at it? I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? This is wild.
Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
Could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here.
We're gonna do it right now.
Before I forget. Although, I don't know how you would forget something like this. Phoenix Wright omnibus? Oh man, Wait, what? Is this where Phoenix Wright comes from? So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Well, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. The people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights, with the cold air rushing past them. I'm not gonna do the voices for this. Then you have to pay more to do so? I can't imagine how cold it must feel. Maybe just think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Okay. I think this is probably just gonna be the same dialogue. Yeah, okay. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witnesses could have been able to see quite clearly. It's not good for us. Oops. I'm sure there's probably gonna be something underneath, right? Probably gonna be something underneath, because I don't see anything. Well, let's open that door and go inside, shall we? Scene of a murder? It's horrible. Oh, okay. We have a drawer here. The seat has a handle, it seems. Oh! It's in the luggage. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair, wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure. I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Alright. That blood that's soaked into the seat, the victims obviously, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. To really stab someone in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder. It was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. But still, like, there's a driver though, there's gonna be a witness no matter what. Whichever way you looked at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. It's a poster for the Great Exposition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Well, the Crystal Tower, it's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Alright. And at the windows. Ah! Okay, same dialogue. I mean, there's nothing really else here to look at. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. But yeah, they didn't really show us much. Alright, now what about underneath? Oh, you can't look underneath. Okay. Okay.
Let us continue with proceedings, then, your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect the Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. Ooh, look at this. That looks cool. Victim and the man accused of killing him sat next to each other inside the bus. And out of the blue, the accused just reached over and punched a knife right into his guts. So he stabbed him. I screamed. I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. Alright, let's ask him this first. Press.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Oh yeah, I gotta look at their things now. Didn't I already testify to that? Oh. We're a fair dinkum. Hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. is no good. I really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail if that's... My lord!
Juror number 3? What's the meaning of this?
I don't trust this guy. What? What if this guy's a killer? Oh, that'd be cool, like a juror is the killer. My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Oh, so he just voted guilty. Oh, shoot. This is kind of cool. Oh, no. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway.
That's precisely what I was about to say.
Oh, no.
As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors.
Oh, no. Oh, shoot. What the? What's happening here?
Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts.
With fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case. One by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice we saw a moment ago.
Oh, great. So we need all the other 4 people then, because if not, it'll just be a tie. If we only get 3, that is. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Oh, okay, so they all... So it still seems like it might be unanimous. Like, it has to be unanimous. But still... Well, that's cool to actually see them, like, what they're thinking at the moment during the court. You don't get to see that in any, like, thing. It's always, like, at the end, like, oh, what does the jury decide? This is gonna be like 12 Angry Men. Let's do it.
Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
Ah, this is a nightmare. Alright, let's just go ahead and press all this then. You stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats.
I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. That doesn't look like his clothes at all. Also, how old is everyone? Oh, we get to see it. Never mind. I thought they were going to show the jurors. He's 32? Dang. I thought he was older. But in this case, he's incredibly wealthy. Oh, wait, how old are you? 52. 54. He's 62. He's 34. Isn't he 34? Oh, he's 32. And 21. Okay. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I appeared to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly, that huge great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
That didn't help me at all. Jury look like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before.
That appears to have made everyone even more dubious than Mr. McClyde is telling the truth. Only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Yes, sir.
Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. That very one, sir. Is that...
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. That is a blade of considerable size, counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned promptly with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Please, no.
M from Magnus, perhaps? Or McGlided, possibly? Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mischief.
Objection!
That was a weak objection. But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have on. Wow, that's kind of rude. Maybe that was the only good thing he had, okay? No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel.
I've got the murder weapon.
My lord, if you forgive the interruption,
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGlad is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word shall be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
You just jealous because you don't get paid enough. Wait.
Dispose of the rubbish.
Oh, great. This is bad. This is getting bad.
No. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime.
Oh no, she's gonna agree too.
I painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all of the facts. As such, I am now in position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Oh, I really hope Granny will go with us. She seems nice. And before the Mason was her boyfriend. And she's gonna vote guilty. Not again.
That's 4 out of the 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more info, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. I mean, we have a knife now, so... Let's examine this real quick. Pardon the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Oh? Those don't seem like words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's what I was thinking, too. He has a katana. It's not a blade, that's cost him a soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Oh, that looks a lot like blood. Surely is blood the victims. An English gentleman's blood looks a lot like Japanese. Why wouldn't it? You think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we've only arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand. So nothing outside of the ordinary? Nothing in the sheath itself, maybe? Oh, it could be a W! It doesn't have to be an M. It could be a W. You turn it upside down, it becomes a W. Could change everything. A W? Yeah, this is one of those, you know, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I'm sure of is that this is an M. Oh well, that idea was quickly quashed. I believe it could be a W. Alright, I think that's all we're gonna get from that though.
Hold it!
See what he has to say about this. What exactly did you see?
Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. We could collapse on the floor. He was.
By the passenger, obviously, you were referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaster.
And the other passenger, he had that knife in his hand like this.
By the other passenger, obviously, you were referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McLeod.
And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
Okay. What?
Order, order. It's hard to believe one of London's greatest philanthropists,
But this is darning of indeed. The law knows no philanthropist, my lord, only the innocent and the guilty. Good deeds mean nothing when overshadowed by evil. The truth is everything.
Couldn't agree more, the truth.
Alright, so when it happened, the only two people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend to do the deed.
I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here.
What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGlided really innocent? Or could it be...
But before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We should gather the case much more better than we do at the moment.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witness statements again, a little more carefully this time.
Hold it!
Okay. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, sir, that's right, sir. Yes, ever so cold it was. For freezing, in fact.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no.
There were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example.
You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. None.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then.
I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does. Every evening, the last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile, yes. Sorry to say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much on the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. I just can't believe it, sir. Can't believe it. I'm murdering my own bus. It's just too awful to think about. I haven't been able to shake this cold ever since it happened.
Lord, I wish to speak. Ah, great. Yes, juror number 5, do I take it that you too, as the master of the London Guild of the Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. You wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I say to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little. G up now, Silver Blaze, the finish is in sight. No. Bebo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Oh, Granny. I know Granny's gonna come in clutch. Please, Granny, please! Oh, Granny, please. Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear, what can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I've always got to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGloated Park, it's called.
Oh no, she's impartial. I mean, I'm not complaining though.
The gentleman donated it to the city, you know. Put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have minute in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely.
Mother, may we go to the McGloated Park Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in their clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGlided really is? What kind of a man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGlided has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows?
Mr. McGlided lends money at extortionate rates of interest so that his victims have no hope of repaying him. In the default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? Possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that. The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It would come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGlided. That's where the motive is, I see. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Good gracious. The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house, he had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. And dang. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGlided. I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly,
Mrs. Sato?
you claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGlided, but where's the evidence to support your claim?
Oh. Okay, I don't think this is a time to be drinking wine. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice in a court of law. Oh, there it is. Lord Von Ziek's hollow chalice. How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Huh? As judicial assistant of the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You'll find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Oh? Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. Marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Okay. Oh yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. And the accused made quite certain he had ample of recompense. Wait, I want to take a look at this. I mean, don't really have a choice, do we? They want to see if Mr. Sholmes is in here. That's funny. It's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? You know, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Oh, goodness. What is it? Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay? Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Wait. Oh yes, of course, the banker. Oh! I didn't remember that was his name. Why is his name in here? He borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible this is just a coincidence, of course, but it could be very useful information. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so I'm assuming it's all the same, but just in case I'm looking on the right page. Okay. Okay.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel!
Oh, well, it's over for us.
Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more before.
I don't stand for nonsense.
Okay, well. That's that, I guess. That was it. The last juror's decision.
Ah, according to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
Ah, the final verdict. It's over then.
Oh? There's a footnote, though.
A footnote?
However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Alright, now's the time to read that footnote, please. What's this vampire-looking guy? Mrs. Sato, tell me one more thing.
Oh, yes?
You're in the middle of saying something before. A footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense. What did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
Summation examination?
Objection!
Summation examination? From which century has that tome you had there been resurrected? Ah,
Judging from the binding, I would say the book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an
antiquated procedure of mention.
It's a relic, long forgotten, certainly no longer practiced.
So you're out of luck.
Oh,
His little armband's falling off. What even is it, Mrs. Sato? The so-called summation examination?
oh, one moment, and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails.
Typical Nipponese. Okay, that's racist.
Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what exactly?
Appeal to them to change their leading and reverse their decisions. And it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions?
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why.
As it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that, although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Summation examination, the last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out, or admit defeat? I mean, we got nothing else to lose, let's go ahead and do it. The defense wishes to assert its right to summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's alright, it's alright. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. His objection does not sound like it belongs to his body. That's not his voice.
The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready?
There was no mention in this letter I received, you see, so...
All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
What grounds?
You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
But my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made on this before.
I don't really hold with all this justifying lark. Seems to have thrown the jurors off. Yeah, they're probably just trying to end their day quicker, you know?
These none of them have experienced this before.
Alright then. The summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer had attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for. To turn this trial around.
So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant Magnus McGlide guilty of this most serious crime.
Judicial findings.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to be him.
So this is almost like a cross-examination. Interesting.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory. It seems for passengers with fares totaling 20 pence.
He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
To trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
So he said 4 pence, but there was 4 people. So it'd be 16. So that's where something's afoot. So I wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo.
Is this interesting that it's case 3 and we're still learning like new things? I like that.
According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh?
I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy
minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says.
But then...
They reach their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become.
And what on earth am I supposed to do?
Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then?
Well, from what I can understand, the key is to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments.
What do you mean?
Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they're completely strangers. They're complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if he can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, then we contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then. This is similar to a regular cross-examination.
Oh, yes. I suppose you're right.
Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord. I like how they're just pushed aside in the background now. Seen smart passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. Okay. Let's press this. Does his ability to recall his takings that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is?
I manage all his lordship's cash affairs, so I'm very particular when it comes to accounts.
I see.
A single penny can mean the difference between life and death, after all, can't it?
That's a saying in your country?
My point is, a man who minds his figures is a man you can trust. Those of us who serve in service would swear to that, sir.
Does that bench really need any more polishing?
So if the good driver says that he saw Mr. McGlided in the act, I don't doubt it. The only task left to do is disposing of the rubbish.
Now wait a minute. One of the other jurors mentioned something about money, I think.
Now'd be a very good time to listen carefully to the jurors' statements again, Mr. Naruhodo. You notice an inconsistency of what two different jurors are saying.
I should expose it by pitting them against each other. Yes. Let's see if I can do just that. I like this music, though. Okay.
Hold it!
That's how much it costs to take the omnibus? That's right. As a guild master, I decided to set a policy for all drivers across the city. One fare, no matter which bus you take or how far you're going. We've had to compete with the rise of the motor car, you see. Us coachmen have to make a stand together. Motor cars, you say? Yes, and this murder on one of our buses is extremely damaging to our cause. It's beyond the pale. It'll lead to a decline in passengers, you mark my words. And it's all that rascal's fault. He has to pay. It's the crime or his buses he's more worried about. Anyway, every member of my guild is reliable and trustworthy. So the driver says he saw him do it. That fellow in the dock is as guilty as sin. They're not really talking about the money, so I'm gonna...
Hold it!
Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go back. I really think you should stop waving that needle around.
You heard what the good coachman said before, didn't you? That hideous man stabbed the poor fellow just like this.
Yes, is what he said, you're right.
McGloded Park is such a lovely little place, too. I've always enjoyed resting my legs there while I get on with my knitting. And I had thought that anyone who donated such a delightful place must be a fine fellow indeed. I suppose I was wrong. However, would have thought he was some miserable murdering moneylender and not with a scrap of remorse.
Oh, help. He's as sure can be that he's guilty now.
The old lady certainly seems to know her mind, doesn't she?
So we just need to find two jurors with contradictory statements and put them against each other. Which is so much easier said than done.
Is that perhaps what you were just thinking?
How did you know?
Well, I took the liberty of doing some research in case you happen to find yourself in just a situation. Shall we? Should I read you what I found out?
No. I think I got it. If I have to rely on advice right from the start, how will I get on later? No, I need to work this out for myself now.
Is that perhaps what you were just thinking?
How did you know?
Well, that sort of attitude is most admirable, Mr. Naruhodo.
I know what I have to do. Let's listen to those assertions one more time. Okay. Okay, pit. So we press the X button.
Objection!
There we go. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. So do explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. Oh, this is cool. You get to see him move around. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. It's cool seeing the katana on his side like that. And according to the coachman, Mr. Bebo, he took 20 pence in fare.
Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me.
Juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is, a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated. That doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each, if you do the multiplication.
Ah! It would be 16 pence.
Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious. Oh my god, this can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword.
And the figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Watch your watchword, good sir. This is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon. Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news would surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Oh. Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end?
Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire to the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Bebo. It's kind of screwed up that he's not really thinking this man's innocent. He's just doing this for the sake of his company. Whatever. Oh, this is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same.
Oh, was not expecting someone else to do it. Alright. For the love of Mike! Not you as well.
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witness again. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo, you did it! We can manage to change 2 more jurors' mind. We can force the trial to continue.
2 more? Actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions.
Then that's where you must strike next.
So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions.
Exactly! You can do it!
Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. Change my leaning to innocent. I should like to hear what the shipshod bookkeeper has to say for himself. So we need to, okay. We can't press them anymore. So we need to press some more then. Okay. I think if we're going to have to get one of these 2 in the middle to, be pit up against at least somebody. Oh wait, that could have worked. It would have been in his side, not his abdomen. Careful, you could hurt somebody with that. You're a fine one to talk. What of that sword hanging from your waist? No, that's my battered soul. Well, anyway, I despise anyone with too much money. They're all the same, all stabbing some brickmaker or other behind the scenes. You mark my words.
Objection!
That seems very unlikely, doesn't it? Are you mad, man? We know that small shorty is a rotten Shylock. Well, yes, that does seem to be the case, but...
Mr. Naruhodo, please, be careful what you say.
If he's been trying to squeeze my money out of us less fortunate, then as far as I'm concerned, he's as guilty as sin. That man can hang. I'm gonna think of it. Did one of the other jurors have something to say about the defendant's underhand activities?
If you thought of something, Mr. Haro, don't let it go. Test your theory.
Put the two jurors whose statements seem to be contradictory against each other. At a time like the present, to use X to pit them against each other, I'll never get anywhere. I have simply typed and collated all the statements thus made so far and drawn a logical conclusion. Oh! Okay. I kinda wasn't really listening to Granny there.
Objection!
There we go. Those two statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel. Post haste.
Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does this contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3... What? Can't you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Huh? Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Struck the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony, quite true. Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Now don't move. Take a look at these two jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor.
Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
Bless my stitches, what a muddle.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh?
But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me.
Alright, Granny, you're back on our side. Let's go.
I can't abide people telling lies.
Oh, it's even down now.
The scales.
I don't believe it. Boy, I'll hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. Can you use magic? Do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, Doc Jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is this problem? What of it if two witnesses have slightly different recollection of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again, and this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you.
Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you.
They're ready to kill each other now. Could the foreman of the jury be right? Do the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? What do they mean by they saw it? Like, they're not witnesses. The jurors, right? They're just jury. Okay, so he's only stabbed once. Just making sure. It's out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman, What is it, you darklings? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What? What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So, where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime as proven by the autopsy report.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. Alright, I concede defeat. This was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty?
We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won!
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut up. Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me.
But we had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head.
Please do not lick it. You tell me he's a barber? Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. The trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Here we go. So Lord Von Zeeks continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. Can you hurry up and drink that quicker? Oh, come on, not even Godot would take this long to drink a cup of coffee. Oh! Hello. Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hollowed chalice, it may seem crash to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Von Zeeks. Ugh. Is it cold in here? Or is it just me? You could drink wine in court? No, kid, there was this one dude in one of the earlier games who would drink a cup of coffee all the time, and he would chuck it at people. As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. And why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Is he gonna start dancing? Oh, he took off his cape. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Ah, yes, sir, I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Ah, yes, sir, I heard it.
You, sir, in the end, the coachman, I believe it's Bebo.
Yes, sir, my lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, You are attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus. You will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio dio,
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear, but,
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He filled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGlided stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, sir, he stabbed me, yes, he did, I think so, yes.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage.
Huh?
Bebo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Might understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare.
It's just so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Bebo, a disgrace, and your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make those all come out differently.
No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. You've already had the displeasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely.
I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear, but,
Okay, I don't think we need to, like, cross-examine everything. I think that seems the most important thing is this one. Because then we can point out that, hey, no, you owe money and you're just trying to get this man arrested and killed. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGlided, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering that question. Anyway, there was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet, 0 evidence. Then what are you wasting all this time for, huh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Go ahead, do this real quick. Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you?
oh yes, yeah, that's right.
You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding a knife and an ice pick grip.
I suppose. I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horse when I heard a scream from the seats of the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. And then when I just turned around, yeah, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of his mid...
I don't know if I...
Excuse me!
I'm just gonna see if this does anything. If I may, Mr. Fairplay? What are you forsaking me for? Last time it appears I've given you pause for thought. Okay, maybe not really. By the way, you always seem to be looking to the side one way or another. Do you have some affliction? Not really. He's not really willing to say anything, it seems. None of your business anyhow. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow we've managed to keep our chances alive here. Can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light.
Be not careful when you press these witnesses. The danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful as they did before.
Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information.
Yes, you're so right.
I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses.
Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason.
Hold it!
Let's see. This is probably not going to be anything useful. So there's only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them for the standard 4-pence fare? Is that right?
It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold that all I could do was stop myself from passing out.
I'm getting chilblains just listening to you.
It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger?
You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night, maybe we would have had another suspect. Alright, hang on. I'm gonna press this guy again real quick, since we didn't get to finish his statement.
Hold it!
See, he's still looking forward. See, like, now he's looking down. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna press yet. That's right.
He was the fellow holding the handle with the famous man. Yes.
So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. Man, don't know when I'm supposed to do anything.
I really thought I did, but when I go over it again in my head.
Just keep going, back and forth.
No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stab.
Truth!
Did I? Oh, there we go.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now, will you listen to me? I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. Now, we're on to something here. He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord.
I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw.
Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man? I'm just
Objections!
gonna go ahead and do it. Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGlided, on the night in question. Oh yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Oh, he's chewing on his little stick. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. Ugh! But no! That can't be right.
So you're the liar here, then?
That's right. You were quite clear about it. You said, it was both hands. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed. Was that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
What's with that pose? Oh my god, that looks like a freaking JoJo pose right there. He's like, No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands. Which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Gah! Why, I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't provocate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. Is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, we could turn the tide in this trial completely.
Something to show the man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. There's evidence. It's pretty good. They're way different than the original ones. I feel like that moves a lot slower in some points, but it's pretty good. My lord, yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony. Gah! Very well, I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception. Okay, that's the ledger.
Take that!
Is it a side game now? Basically, it's pretty much like a spin-off. Yeah, I would say. This is the list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGlided. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worth of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what's of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGlidden were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. It would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Oh, he's chewing hard on that sucker. Order, 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord? Let me ask you again. Be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGlidet's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And yet only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Ugh, you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think yes. I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What?
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yes. Might finally have a chance to turn things around here.
Here we go.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment that the stabbing transpired.
If that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream.
Anyway, the fact remains. There can't have been anyone else inside the carriage. Or we would have all have seen.
Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well, your cross-examination, please, counsel.
I'm not really sure what to go on from here. Guess we're just gonna have to press everything.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves that the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw. I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why?
The reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers.
However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance as well, you know.
Ugh, but for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just, trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? And you hope to release yourself from the financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
That's not entirely, no, not what I was hoping for.
I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the Derby, that's all.
I was going to win it all back.
That's a fixture this weekend. That's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. Well, I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife and okay.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGliddit's gloves had any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGliddit sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. Should have left a dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves, so it wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGliddit's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything?
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. So to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, sir. I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Bevel, you were driving your horse. At the very least, you, must have enjoyed a very good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that.
It was so cold that night, you see, it was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. My head was fairly frozen solid, sorry to say, sir.
It seemed prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Hello?
Ah!
Hold it!
Alright. And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus? That's right, it was fiercely cold that night. The glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember I was shivering, it was so bitter.
Oops. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. No, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, and it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you, I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence, if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. Not sure about these two witnesses. They really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You're riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight and the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What?
By golly, really?
Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied. That at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Okay. You should get some Ben and Jerry's. If he's looking down here, you could probably only see this right here. So you wouldn't have seen this seat then, right?
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, as I've drawn here. Ah, that's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ah!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a foreboding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhodo?
I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been on the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Like, are we saying we know the person in fact, or are we saying we just know that it was the killer, you know? I have literally no idea.
As a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on.
This isn't just a case of going on, Mrs. Sato. Alright then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger on the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn this trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from the view was... I'm assuming it was him. That would make sense, right?
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witness on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGlided.
Mr. McGlided?
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Oh, shoot, okay. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollow chalice, do not forgive the discourtesy. Lord Von Zykes? People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the term ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGlided, or McGilded. I'm assuming it's McGilded. I keep saying McGlided, but, you know, I don't know. It creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claim that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
I'm not really sure, Ken. The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear, but they clearly remembered seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on the passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
Man, he looks a lot like Edgeworth when he does the slam right there. And who is this third party? Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary. Order, order, order. What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
When elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes. The top of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
What particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
Can you call yourself a hatter?
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be so sure?
Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGlided would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact.
He was sleeping though.
Unless that is, are you proposing an even more preposterous explanation? That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled?
He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, we have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no educated ruffian. If it indeed turns out that the man had been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not?
Yeah.
Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. Oh no, he's raising his hand again. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes, I need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
Get the man out here, I say!
It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
Something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Now maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear.
Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGildet, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
To be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal the fact from the police?
Becca, no. 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the question, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you or keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McHildit? The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true.
Why did you hide it? 'Twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... what? What in the world? This man, you just get the death penalty right now. I going through all this work and you're concealing that from me? No, Magnus McGildet. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am Lord Von Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see.
What?
If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into the courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord.
And who is this young child of whom you speak?
That, I don't know.
You don't know?
Aye, well, the wee ting just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in the courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? What the heck? There was a gunshot too? There's a fire, look, someone's trying to get away! After them! It's no use! Can't see anything through all that smoke. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruto. Cover your face!
Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
What in the world? We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes and chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Interesting. What the heck is going on? Yeah, saving my progress for sure. Hmm. Of February. What on earth just happened in there?
Mr. Naruto managed to find out what happened.
Miss Sato?
I said it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, type of exploding device that releases smoke.
Smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use.
They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long.
But who would have done something like that?
The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently.
Flee the courtroom? Why?
That's a young girl of around 15, I hear.
A young girl? I mean, could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGildet was just talking about?
My thoughts exactly.
So he wasn't lying. Now let's become Mr. McGilded, actually. There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here.
I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl.
Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She's taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself?
There's another matter that's troubling me.
What's that?
The 20 pence.
Hmm? Oh,
According to the coachman, Mr. Bevo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly.
now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers.
Which means the figures don't seem to add up again.
She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. Trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away.
Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. Can't really imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial.
Well, no, soon enough, Mrs. Sato.
Yes!
Old Bailey courtroom. She doesn't look really innocent like I thought she would. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before.
Well, after the rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Von Zeeks.
My lord?
I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier.
Seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade of the sort of typically employed by the army.
Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior?
She ain't talking. Ahem. If I may, my lord.
Yes, Mr. McGilded?
I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why is it that this wee lass was in here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that? It is all tied up with the events of that night, so it is.
Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case.
Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then begaw, a loud thud and a wee scream broke me up with a fair start. There was a fellow collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out what that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. Okay.
I remain somewhat baffled, I confess. But from what I gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct?
It is exactly as the defense counsel said. This lass was the 5th passenger, my lord.
Okay. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel?
Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Okay. On the night in question, I took the back seat. Okay, wait, I'm not reading all that. Let's go up with this first. A loud thud, you said? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? It was like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. You think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed. Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me, I opened my eyes. There wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage, but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone. At the same moment, you did hear a scream.
Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume?
Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from the inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before my eyes.
Hold it!
You set him up? The victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would ya? Just common courtesy, so it is.
I find that a little hard to believe.
Ah, Lord Von Zakes. Now why would that be?
You wait to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is.
Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business.
The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest.
Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them. Some would even seem dead. So I do try, were at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no. I was already intending to report it, so I was. Only, I had in mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to middling. Did we scream I heard, for example? Wouldn't you go yourself do just about the same? Yes. Scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to... okay.
Hold it!
So it was her. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, just a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubby hole there for storage. Mr. Narhada, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course, the whole bus was submitted as evidence. I already saw that, though. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there.
Hold it!
Alright. You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in the wee ball. When our eyes met, well, my heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. Ugh, you're really overreacting, that's... Still, all in all, I pulled her out from under there and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee ching-wang with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman. It's kind of screwed up, dude. Being honest there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. While I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fellow's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly.
In other words, the previous witness did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason.
Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature. Readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl. After that, of course. Are we even sure it's a girl? We haven't seen her face yet. The scream from the gentleman over as the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Might be like a woman or something, you know?
I do wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo.
Being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony? Let's just say it's trying.
We certainly have precious little time to talk to Mr. McGilda before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn all the facts we can.
Ah, we arrived in London this morning. I didn't see my day panning out like this.
Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling, not even in your head.
How did you know? On the night okay. So let's go ahead and press the first statement, because that's the only one we haven't yet. When you first got into the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were, I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back side as I did. It is the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means. Just how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, it is the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoyed gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their pickpocketer. Let's calmly call it a pickpocket. What? This girl here, a petty thief? Order, order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh shoot, she got a gun. How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Ah, the girl, she's gone. Open your eyes. Oh.
I'm over here.
Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep?
I know what your lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. Oh, this dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed her gin. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it?
No, not at all. It's a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast it. Oh no, was that a stink bomb?
Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for why is I do these things.
I don't know what voice to give her. I am having trouble speaking her lines.
I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do.
Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs?
Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I left it the other day. Down where they keep the four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink bits.
Oh, do not wave that thing in my direction again! So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question. Tis alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now.
Alright, yeah. I just like the Irishman said.
The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question.
Alright, if I have to.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I hate to do it, but we're definitely gonna have to call it quits right here.